Hi everyone, welcome to London Fashion Week, day one of a new digital only world. My colleague Carmen and I here at Because Magazine, we thought it would be a good opportunity for us to share our hot takes after a day full of videos essentially, and share with you our highlights. So we're gonna get stuck in and share with you also behind us some feasts for the eyes. Carmen, nice to see you.
Nice to see you too. How's your first day been?
It's been interesting to launch ourselves in yet another digital fashion week. And I thought we could start with a female-founded brand, which is Efticia. Don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. And her sort of tailoring, 90s inspired, has been a real retail favorite. I know Brown's Fashion, which carry her, are really big supporters. And her film, which is only a minute long, was quite abstract for me. I'm curious what you thought of it.
Yeah, so I think taken out of context, it could have been seen as quite random and bizarre. I think I really enjoyed it for its simplicity, and I loved how sensory it was. Like, you had such an ASMR experience with the sounds, something really satisfying about seeing the glass break and the tea bags be steeped in water, and I think it really reflected her anxiety and fear that she felt over the last period, that all of us have felt, all the kind of dark feelings that we haven't really wanted to address, but we've definitely been through. So I quite liked it as a conceptual video, and I thought it was interesting that she decided not to show any of her collection in it, and just keep it as a 1 minute quick little video. That's more about storytelling than her clothes herself. But yeah, what did you think, Caroline? I think it's a level, it's a bit like a Marmite kind of option, this one.
Marmite is a good way to put it. I personally would have loved to have seen some clothes, but I really like how you describe it as like an ASMR experience. And I guess, fashion is all about expressing oneself. In this video, definitely, you could feel sort of angst and relief at the same time. But I think we're going to have to look at her lookbook to see what the collection for September is going to be like. But, curious, and I think always a bold step when a designer decides not to show any clothes. So I'll hand that to her for sure. Now, next, we've got Edward Crutchley, who is always a fantastically interesting designer to see what he's doing. Now, Edward interestingly has sort of a background in print and was menswear first, was what he first launched for London Fashion Week during menswear shows. And what was it, like a year ago he launched women's wear now? Something like that. And I thought it was interesting to see how much he's progressed around women's wear and a complete collection. And this video, which maybe after we chat, we'll get the audience to watch a little bit of, I think was really interesting in the way that he actually narrates the entire video, talking about sourcing and creating fabrics and the process of actually making the collection, rather than a focus on the collection itself, which is actually really beautiful. And I found it very decadent. There's these amazing moire fabrics that he's created with typical mills who do it for haute couture. There's some of his, signature print in there. I just found it a really charming video because I thought it was lovely that he took the time to explain to us how he created and sort of the attention that went into making all these fabrics. And I think sometimes we don't get enough of that, and especially in these days where you need to make things last and have meaning in your wardrobe, it's always really good to understand that. What did you think?
Yeah, I agree. I thought I mean, it was complete other side of the spectrum from F to Cheer, but I really enjoyed the narration and the little snippets into the warehouse and how you could see how the pieces were being made. And I think when you said it was charming is a very apt word for it, because I thought the whole collection being based around like the northern gorgeousness and northern experience was lovely and charming, really. And it was nice to see a kind of an embrace of Britishness, especially in a year with Brexit. I think everyone has been, those who've been disappointed with the result have been quite upset with where this is, you know, our society and our country is going. It was quite nice to see a really light-hearted but positive way of looking at what we do well. And it was nice. It was good. I think in a time when it's quite, everything is very heavy news and serious, it was nice to have the models with headscarves and rollers in their hair, and dressed up as kind of quintessential British characters that you'd expect to see on a British soap opera. So yeah, I really enjoyed it.
Why don't we get the audience to take a little look for 30 seconds.
The home of haute couture fabrics, and it's a traditional moire, hand pressed to create the wave effect, but made in 100% recycled polyester. We also worked with Ratti, the masters of Italian printing, on a story of marble printed merino wools tailoring. Right from the start, we've always focused on made in London, keeping manufacturers close to source as possible.
That was Edward Crutchley, and we thought we'd also highlight our third video of the day, which was coming from Matty Bovin. Now, some of you may have to shield your eyes as it was full of flash images and quite full on, but I love Matty Bovin's work in general, just in terms of how he really represents a very London, kind of free, super artistic, very, very creative perspective when it comes to both clothes and his expression of fashion. And I think that this video, which is very glitchy, like I said, actually kind of difficult to watch, in fact. You know, you're not going to see pure fashion in this. But I just thought it would be nice to highlight, because it's great to see him as part of the schedule and really representing a freedom of expression that I think London is so well known for. What did you think, Carmen?
I agree. It kind of, I really liked it, and it also made me feel a bit sad, because it reminded me of days of like going out in London nightclubs and just, I don't know, I feel like it's not necessarily meant to have that effect, but all the lights and the kind of hazy filming definitely made me reminisce of nights out, which I think Matty does that so well. He's so good at highlighting the best of London's kind of underground culture and nightlife, and it was nice to have that, but also, yeah, also made me sad because I want it back, but hopefully soon. And it was nice to have a little reminder of what life was like in a distorted kind of arty Matty Bovin way. So it was cool. Exactly.
Well, I think actually talking about nostalgia, I think that leads us on to our next one, which was Nicholas Daly, menswear. Now this February, was the first time actually that menswear has been fully introduced into the calendar, isn't it? Because we didn't have any menswear shows in January, which is when normally London Men's Week would happen. And Nicholas is one of our favorites. We love his approach to kind of casual wear, outdoor wear, but also more importantly, his presentations have typically been so moving and so fully immersive. And it's really interesting to see how he's come with this sort of kung fu, what's the title of this film? Do you remember, Carmen? Snake Rattle? Oh gosh, we might have to look at the video. But it's very funny. It's like just pure sounds of sort of karate chops and gorgeous karate jackets. You know, I thought it was a nice balance between the clothes themselves, which are kind of great utilitarian karate gym wear, alongside very short again, but sweet and engaging, action-oriented video. So I thought it was a really good way of showing his beautiful collection.
Yeah, I agree. I thought it was very clever actually to show what you can and can't do in his clothing, when you can literally do karate workout in all of his outfits, as the video shows. There's a nice pan of all the outfits in a grid near the end. And yeah, I thought it was a nice playful way. It was nice to see him embrace showing at a different time of the year, and I really like the collection. I kind of like the muted 70s tones. I thought it was it's very wearable, but also with an interesting design twist, and yeah, I thought it was cool.
Okay, let's let everybody else watch a little bit of it, and we'll discover that it's actually called Stepping Razor. So, close, not quite. Snake rattle, I don't even know why I went there.
Steeping kick? I don't know.
Who knows, but enjoy a few seconds of the video now.
When I fight, I am as fierce as fire. When I am still, I am immovable as the mountain.
So that was Nicholas Daly, and last one from our really key highlights today, Temperley London. Alice Temperley, obviously one of my favorites, but I got to talk to her, in fact, before the film went live today. And I think what's so incredible right now about what Alice is doing in Temperley London is the fact that she's moved her entire headquarters into the heart of Somerset, where she was born and raised. And what she's discovering is all these incredible artisans, whether they're leather jacket makers, tanneries, carpet makers, around within like a 30-kilometer distance from her new headquarters in Somerset. So she's finding all these amazing local production partners to create even like knits, and I think one of the oldest British lace makers. So she's really starting to look at sort of bringing local production back in. She's going deep into sustainability with like recycled nylons for puffer jackets, or sort of padded inner linings. And I feel like this collection is a real culmination of like her having headspace given these crazy days, of being able to really focus on making like what is the perfect Temperley London wardrobe. And I think she's gone into like denims and kimonos and matching kind of leopard print knits, and a few obviously glamorous dresses, but given there are very few glamorous events to go to right now, I think she's got that balance really, really well done pat. So I loved it. What did you think?
I think, just to tail end off what you were saying, I think it was last year that she started bringing in a kind of more everyday collection, but I think now she's really got in her stride of it, and it's nice to see how she can balance the evening pieces with her everyday kind of styles, and how they both still are very Temperley London at heart. I really loved, there was a kind of silk satin halter neck, which we'll see in a second when we watch the film, but there was this silk satin halter neck dress with lots of different matching prints that I really loved, and I can imagine myself wearing that on in a park in London in the summer, whether I'm with friends or just walking around it in social distance. But either way, I thought it was really lovely and summery, and the collection was very cool and wearable and edgy. And yeah, I think it's very commendable to come from being known for your evening wear and actually doing everyday wear quite successfully. So I enjoyed it, I liked watching it, and I think we can go into watching the film now.
last one that we wanted to share, and we thought that this week would be a great opportunity for us to share some of the young designers that neither Carmen or I are really familiar with, because they're pretty new onto our scene and our radar anyway, maybe not some of you guys. But one that we wanted to highlight today, his name is Linus Leonardsson, and I believe he's Swedish, but actually was invited by Moscow Fashion Week, maybe last year. I might need to check on my dates. And he presented a video actually quite early on today, part of the Discovery Lab in collaboration with London Fashion Week. And his video showed us some really great ways with color, I thought. And it was cheeky, it was fun. It felt, again, like a really great addition for London Fashion Week, I think, where I think the knitwear is really interesting, and it just, again, feels like stuff that you want to wear going out. And I think that there's a real optimism, even today, that we're seeing around kind of life post-lockdown. But it's also not wholly unrealistic with sort of trains and insane glamour. Instead, it's sort of a glamour that is more, I guess, neon and bright, but still highly wearable, even if it's the shortest mini skirt and little teeny tiny top, you know, in a bright fuchsia pink. So Linus, for me, was a real revelation, and I'm glad that we've got him on London Fashion Week so far. What are your thoughts, Carmen?
Yeah, I agree. I thought it was really interesting. His film Let There Be Light, I think it's called, was just really positive and happy, but it was mixed in with some really interesting styling, some really quite bold clothes, but actually I thought a lot of it was very wearable. And I also think he kind of tapped into the Gen Z market really nicely, but was able to make it wearable for any age, really. Though I'm not sure if I'll be donning like the kind of bow bra that was there, but it was cool and it was cute and it was fun. And I think as a new designer, like having to define yourself, especially in a time like this, it must be very difficult. And I thought his prints were really strong. The different shapes were really, really interesting, and like Caroline said, the knitwear I thought was really cool, and I definitely you can see he's very talented in lots of different ways in terms of design. So I'm excited to see what else he has, and hopefully we'll be able to meet him and see his clothes in real life a lot sooner.
I think that's a really good point. I think just in general, you know, I think today where I saw real success was, as you said, was sort of creating a real story and a stamp of the brand, and it sort of being conveyed very quickly, easily, and elegantly in video form. I think I saw a few things today where it was hard to keep my attention. I sort of didn't really understand what the designer was trying to tell me, and I think, you know, digital fashion week in general is so hard, because to be sort of sat at your desk for the entire day on like 15-minute intervals trying to catch every video, it's very hard to remember clothes, because I feel like when you see a swish or you touch them at the showroom in the Reese, it's much more kind of imprints in your brain in a bit of an easier way. So I find digital fashion weeks quite challenging, but I am definitely trying, and I think that the films that we've picked out and the brands that we've picked out today, for me, have been really successful at kind of delivering some excitement for us to look forward to for September. I mean, how are you finding digital fashion week in general?
Yeah, I agree. I think, we're in our this is our second fully digital fashion week, and I think it's our third fashion week during this pandemic now. And I completely agree. I think it's really hard to be able to remember things, to be able to tune in when you're not, when you don't have to give your time to it. But I think as the fashion weeks have passed, we're starting to get a bit better at it. I think what I've missed most about shows, I'm sure, and with presentations, and I'm sure you agree, Caroline, is that it's such a 360 experience where it's to do with the music, it's to do with the setting, it's to do with the smells, it's to do with the lighting, and it's so hard to be able to translate that in a digital way. But I think brands now are getting more into the swing of it, and I think we're seeing some more interesting ways of showing clothes through a film that isn't just a video of your clothes, of a model walking up a runway and walking back down it. Because I think we've realised now that in a completely digital fashion week, that's not always the best way of going about it. So yeah, I think actually for the first day, it's been quite a positive experience. I'm quite excited to see what other designers are doing, what more of the bigger brands and what more of the new younger designers are doing. So I think it was a good first day, despite it being spent all inside in my living room, but nothing you can do about that.
What you gonna do, exactly. Well, I think that's a great place to end for today. Thanks everyone for joining us, our hot takes and highlights for day 1 of London Fashion Week. And we're gonna be doing this every day here on becauselondon.com. So join us, you can watch a lot of live streams here on our website in case you find the londonfashionweek.com website a little tough to navigate. I might be one of them. But come join us here and we will see you tomorrow for more highlights. See you then. Thanks, Carmen.
Bye.
Bye.